podcast, but today we will. It's pretty ridiculous that you've got those people who are in those power chairs who try to assert their power over those senators that are elected that are not part of their electoral body, and it's so frustrating. But you know what? Doesn't matter. We're really, really excited because the $50 per acre is something that's attainable for us at Veterans for Cannabis. We can pay $50 per acre to apply for an industrial hemp license. We'll have our farm set up. We'll actually be growing hemp in Georgia and in Wisconsin this year. So we're going to grow the same genetics. You're going to have the same great product that we've had in the past. But I can tell you unequivocally that the cannabinoid profile will be different. I know that the hemp that was grown last year in Georgia specifically in the state it was basically a research project with the University of Georgia. The hemp that was grown in North Georgia, where our farm is, was way different and way better than the hemp that was grown in South Georgia. And it's because the climate's way different. It's the mountains in North Georgia. It's hot and flatlands in South Georgia. So I can tell y'all that the hemp we grow in North Georgia will be different than the hemp we grow in Wisconsin. Even though it's the exact same seeds, we're starting from the same genetics, the cannabinoid profile, the soil contents will make it grow a little differently. That's how amazing this plant is. When you see her come to life and you see her really start blossoming and blooming and putting the flowers on, she really takes on that beautiful aromatic scents that just floats through the air, and you can almost see it. It smells so beautiful. You've got great colors, the reds, the purples, sometimes the yellows that just pop out, the trichomes as they develop. It's so therapeutic, and that agrotherapy is something I'm really excited about. And just having that here, finally being able to grow cannabis again after, dang, it's been probably 6 years since I've grown cannabis on any scale. Back when I had my medical cannabis card in Vermont, where we could grow our own cannabis up there. And that's how I kind of fell into this and really grew, enjoyed it up there. But now we're going to grow a couple of different acres here in Georgia. I've got some other genetics that have been donated to us as well. So we'll see how that works out. And what we're going to do is a whole lot of research and try to determine what works well for this climate. We've got a couple of different farms that are going in Alabama that we've donated seeds to. And these are all research. We have an agreement set up with Tuskegee University. We also have University of Georgia that we've been working with. So there's two great universities that we're working with right now to really determine what works well in different climates, what genetics are going to grow well, and what kind of cannabinoid content can we get out of those? That's really what we're going to focus on at Veterans for Cannabis. We're going to focus on developing the true cannabinoids and true varieties that can come out of different breeds. And you all may be sitting there listening like, what is he talking about from a breed standpoint? Well, there's a great thing about it is that plants are very much like dogs. Okay, you can crossbreed them. You can make different breeds better. You can make breeds worse. You can do all kinds of things. You can make industrial hemp become an illegal product if it's in a state that doesn't have a recreational cannabis program by breeding too much THC into that product. So it's done through a really neat process. It's cross-pollination. You take different genetics where we may have one that's a Kush, and we have a blue bubble gum, or whatever, Reese cup, whatever you want to call it. And I think you all know that we don't really call them names. It's about the cannabinoid profile for us here at Veterans for Cannabis. So we track each one by a lot number and a specific research number that goes along with it, like SR71-2. That's how we track ours, because we want to determine, what is that cannabinoid profile on VFC 004 versus the cannabinoid profile on VFC 007. So we really do a lot of research and determination on that through a number of different ways. We obviously do the breeding, and you do the cross-pollination. We'll see what happens with it. We'll be on different phenotypes, and we'll be on different lineages. When you talk about that, you got generations of plants. You can have an F1 that's a first generation that you have grown, cultivated, you know exactly what cannabinoids are in that, and you take a clone off of that. And when you clone, it is essentially the exact same genetics, right? That's what cloning is about. But you can be at an F8, F10, and have some genetic drift in there. And what I mean is that phenotype, that mom plant, that F1, as she's cut and each generation is grown and bred after that, you may be 10 generations down, and the cannabinoid profile on F1 is completely different than it is on F10. Now, I use that as an example because oftentimes they're not completely different. There are some minor differences between them. Maybe your F1 is at 20% CBD and your F10 is at 18%, or your F1 is at 2% CBG and your F10 is at 7% CBG because you've been doing some breeding on it, or whatever. That's what I'm talking about with genetic drift. But you can have that same exact thing that starts with F1 that'll end up being different on F10, the 10th generation of it. So we're going to do a lot of research behind that to really determine what works well, what kind of product development do we want to do for you all. So what I'm asking you as the listener is to reach out to us. Let us know what works for you, and what do you want to see developed in the future. We've got a great application that's going to launch next week. It's we've done the partnership with Strain Print. I mentioned on one of our previous podcasts. And we're really excited about the research that we'll be able to do there from a cannabinoid capture and development program. So we really need you all to download the Strain Print app and utilize the code VFCUSA. We have a couple of different codes that are going to go out there. Our VFC CIV is for civilians, and then our code VFC is for veterans. So we'd like to keep the demographics, parceled out right there, because we want to find out what's working well for veterans and what's working well for civilians, and see what kind of difference there is in the effectiveness, or what kind of ailments may be managed as well. We're really going to try to help just put together the data and all the information that's scattered all across the country in all kinds of different places, and put it together in one simple, legible format so that we can present that to the federal government to help them make the changes that we need to make to get cannabis legalized at the federal level. Or moreover, on anything, what we're trying to do here at the Veterans for Cannabis and on the Veterans for Cannabis podcast is to focus on getting access through the Veterans Administration, the VA hospitals. We want to make sure that veterans have a choice to utilize cannabis over pharmaceuticals. That's all we want, is a choice, but they won't give us that choice until they have black and white data. So that's why we need you, the listener, to download the application at Strain Print, use the VFC code or VFCCIV code for civilians if you're a civilian. Download that, use our products, and our products, you can actually choose them in the drop down, and give us the feedback that we need. That's really key, because without that feedback, we can't do genetic development on the farms. That was this podcast. That's what it's all about, right? How excited we are about the new farm that's coming on board in Georgia, also in Alabama. We have two different locations in Alabama too. We have one in northern Alabama and one in Tuskegee. So we're really excited about that. A couple farms down in Florida that are hopefully coming on board in the next month or two as well. So we're really excited about this growth season and what we're going to have set up for you all as the listeners and as the consumers and as the customers that are purchasing the products from the Veterans for Cannabis website. And just thank you all for supporting us as well. We're going to do some great things around the Strain Print app to give you all some discount for utilizing the application, for also downloading the application, and just participating in this and helping us collect the data. Just the last couple of minutes, I'll close, by saying, if you have not gotten an industrial hemp program put together and passed at your state's level, or if you're in a different country listening and you guys don't have an industrial hemp program put together, let us know. Reach out to us. We would love to help you learn how to get this done, because right now, ladies and gentlemen, we are just scratching the surface with industrial hemp and what we can do and what it can do for us, for our humanity, for our environment, for our big, beautiful Mother Earth. We have, soil remediation. We can do erosion control. We've got hempcrete. We have fibers to make clothing out of. So many different uses for hemp, and we're just now scratching the surface on this CBD thing. So many different opportunities out there. If you're interested in growing industrial hemp or want to be a part of our Veterans for Cannabis Grow operations this year, and you have an industrial hemp program in your state, reach out to us. You guys know how to reach me. I'm Joshua Littrell. It's Joshua, Joshua, at vfcannabis.org, like Veterans for Cannabis.org. And cannabis is spelled CANNABIS. Thank you all so much for joining us here today. It's been really exciting to tell you all. I think you can hear the excitement in my voice about our grow operation, getting our federal FBI background check done and paying all the state fees and all this good stuff. It just sets us all up to do things the right way, get registered with the state, make sure you're doing everything above board. That's what this is all about. We all want to be winners. We all want to be, really taking care of our community and our environment. I think hemp may be that answer for us all. Let's focus on agrotherapy, get your hemp license, and let's grow together. I'm Joshua Littrell. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Veterans for Cannabis podcast. Take care.
Line over there, send the word over there, that the Yanks are coming, the drums coming everywhere. So prepare, say a prayer, send the word to beware. We'll be over, we're coming over, and we won't come back till it's over there, over there.